Martin Buday, who's another Shamil Gaziev victim. His keys to victory is literally just holding people against the cage. He holds people against the cage, pushes them against the fence, and uses his fat to basically keep them there, uses his belly to keep them there. And he's managed to do that enough times to make himself a place in the top 15 of the heavyweight division. Again, just showing the absolute state of the division, that a guy like Martin Buday is considered the top 15 best in the world.
Let's get on to Martin Buday versus Marcus Buchecha. Marcus Buchecha gets fraud checked in his UFC debut against tubby Martin Buday. Listen, Buchecha had moments where he was in control of the ground game, and it looked like in the second round he was going to get himself a finish, and he was starting to dominate. But Martin Buday wins the first round, wins the third. He's training with Tom Aspinall, and, you know, I mean, they're never going to be Tom Aspinall just because they trained with Tom Aspinall. But, man, you got to be honest, man. These heavyweights, they're getting okay. These heavyweights, you know what it is? I was just talking about the power of courage. Martin Buday and the heavyweights that train with Tom Aspinall and everyone that trains with them, even though they're not that great, the power of friendship that they have in that gym is willing these guys to having okay level performances to where they can get the wins over people that are expected to beat them via split decisions, okay? So Martin Buday, via the power of training with Tom Aspinall and being in the room with a guy like Tom, man, is able to go out there and win the split decision. But let's be honest, Martin Buday, I think he's only lost one fight in his entire career. Like, dude, it's easy to kind of scoff at a guy like Buday. He's like 6-1 in the UFC, or like 7-1. Shamil Gaziev is the only person to beat him. We scoff at Shamil Gaziev's record. Shamil Gaziev is the only person to beat Martin Buday. Martin Buday's had like 10 fights now in the UFC and has a win over Marcus Buchecha. So, yeah, a lot of people were wrong on this. Let me tally up how I did on picks. So, good win for Martin Buday. I'm happy to see him get that win. Marcus Buchecha gasses out, you know, sort of gets, you know, the classic Martin Buday pace put up.
Heavyweights went after it. Martin Buday versus Marcus Buchecha. It's 1 for MMA for weight loss, Fat Camp MMA, 0 for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Now, all jokes aside, I'm talking my smack about this fight. Martin Buday was able to deal with Buchecha's grappling threat because of his takedown defense and pure size. He was on the bottom a bit, then was able to, reverse position in his own right. And like at times, Buchecha is like too willing to fall to his back, which is such a problem with, high-level BJJ guys that just make this transition. Buday did enough. Little ground and pound. He gave up some moments in the third round. It was close, though, because then he kind of finished strong. I felt like at the end of it all, it was a fight that could have went either way. Buchecha actually cracked a little bit on the feet in round 2 after losing that first round, but Buday's size was a factor. And like most, jiu-jitsu-based fighters, Buchecha's actual takedown ability is not great. And then dealing with a mountain of a man in the size of Buday, who's huge, there was also a big struggle. So Buday was able to edge it out 16-2. I mean, he has a record of like an elite heavyweight. Unfortunately, he's really not. He's like a top 25-ish talent, and he takes out the 5-2 Buchecha. He was, a kind of hyped up signing to the UFC. We need heavyweights badly. Buday is probably not running towards the top 10, but he is a legit top 25 heavyweight, and he defends that spot. I don't know what direction they go with Martin Buday. I guess you could argue, okay, him versus somebody maybe like Rogerio de Lima, if de Lima's going to make a comeback. Maybe if they move him up the ranks some more. I mean, do you do him versus Mick Parkin, who's coming off a loss? You could argue it. You could argue that it makes sense. I mean, Mick Parkin's biggest win is what? Mo Usman? Martin Buday, I mean, he's got the big win against Arlovsky. Wow, I feel like I'm cracking jokes up here, but no, I'm dead serious. Yeah, that's his big win is Arlovsky, really. I feel like Buday versus Mick Parkin would make sense next. Both strikers, both kind of on the chubbier side of things, and I'd kind of be intrigued by the matchup. Feel as though Buday might have a real chance to win that fight, too. I feel like Buday breaking into the top 15 might end up happening, man. He's good enough for, like, right on the cusp of top 15 talent. I don't think they give him Volter Walker, who's on an absolute sub-tear. And then what? Do we fucking sell another heavyweight prospect? Now, For the likes of Buchecha, I mean, I think you do him versus somebody with like no grappling. Maybe if Junior Tafa wants to move back up to heavyweight, or maybe if you do him versus the, Hamdi Abdullah Wahab, Chris Barnett loser, depends on the timeline of return. Justin Tafa fight could make sense. Pure striker versus pure grappler. Altogether, Martin Buday did enough and got, the victory, imposing his will a bit in a competitive fashion, but still the hand raised at the end of it. It was a close fight. I thought he did just barely enough to win. Let's keep going.
Picks.com, just click become a member at the top. We opened up the fight card with Martin Buday taking on Marcus Buchecha. This was a weird fight to break down because ahead of the fight, I said, listen, Martin is the established UFC fighter. Martin has been here. He's done that. He's more well-rounded. Marcus is a one-trick pony. He's got to get it to the ground. He has to get a submission. He has nothing else to offer. That's basically what we got. But what we also got was some of the sloppiest, fattest, sweatiest, most disgusting, slimy man shit we've ever seen. Martin Buday looked terrible. This guy looked awful. He's aging in reverse. He was always a little soft, but now it looks like he got gastric bypass and then added other people's skin. This dude was loose as shit. But what he was is just the better fighter. He was the better overall fighter. He defended the takedowns. He had the cleaner hands, but he slowed down. And that's what's brutal. Listen, if you physically look like a bag of melted Jell-O, fine. It is what it is. Some people can't help that. Go look at Roy Nelson. He was a little more firm than this, but he had the biggest beer belly you've ever seen. I also never saw him get tired in a fight. So if you physically look like shit, it is what it is. But at the very least, you should be cardio-wise in shape. You should be conditioned. Some people just look like shit. And we have the opposite. We have other people that are absolutely physical specimens that can't run a half a mile. I just will never understand getting this exhausted, this tired, when this is your only job. That's your only job. That's like me trying to run reWant Picks with like a 1 kilobit internet upload speed. And every video I upload looks like an Android text from your grandmother. It doesn't make sense. Your only job is to be in shape and go out there and get into a fist fight. That's it. That's your job. And you can't be in shape. So, Martin Buday won this fight. I wasn't surprised by that. I picked him. And at this point in the card, I picked a solid underdog. He opened up the card. He was a 3-1 dog, and he won. And I was like, oh, shit. Big Ange has got the juice today. The reality is, Marcus Buchecha wasn't a complete bum. He wasn't just a complete jiu-jitsu nerd. He did move forward. He did just bomb away. He had a couple of solid strikes that landed. But without real takedown attempts and without real comfort in your hands, you're either diving at legs from too far or you never really get anything going. So Martin Buday won this fight. I was shocked to see that he was an underdog. It made no sense to me that he was an underdog. So I was glad I picked him to win, but like, this dude's a future fucking face. Anybody with 8.5 minutes of cardio, I might be able to beat Martin Buday right now. And I ate a Big Mac for lunch. I might be able to beat Martin Buday right now. No joke, no exaggeration. I've got 10 times the wrestling that Marcus has, and I probably have better cardio than Martin. Sloppy as shit. The win was not surprising at all. I saw that coming. But like, damn, it shouldn't have been that dicey.
We have Martin Buday versus Marcus Buchecha. Buday gets a decision win. I had to go back and rewatch this one because I missed it live. I thought Buchecha won. I mean, I think they both look like shit. I thought Buchecha won. First round, Buchecha spamming takedowns. Looks like he's just trying to take down a bag of milk. Getting stuffed. Towards the end of the first round, there was a right hand that landed for Buchecha, and then he swarmed him a little bit after that. But Buday outstruck him the majority of the round. Second round, early takedown from Buchecha. Control. Buday's curling up onto his hands and knees and elbows and his forearms. Just laying flat, accepting back shots. Just accepting back shots from Buchecha. And then scrambles out the last 45 seconds, ends up on top. I thought Buchecha clearly won the second round. Third round, okay, but maybe I guess you give 1 and 3 to Buday. I gave 2 and 3 to Buchecha. Round 3, Buchecha's shooting sloppy takedowns, gets stuffed. Buday ends up on top. Doesn't really do much damage. And then Buchecha ends up scrambling, reversing position, ended up on top, literally giving him back shots again with really nothing back. And then eventually Buday reverses with like 10, 15 seconds on the clock. And that's the only way I think the judges could have possibly given it to him. But they both look like dog shit. It was a horrible, horrible fight. it's the first fight of the night. I'm tired of like people hyping up these jiu-jitsu dudes. Like, man, he competed in BJJ. He's got world championship BJJ credentials. That's like the Bo Nickel effect, kind of. You know, with the wrestling bullshit. Everyone's hyping them up because, oh no, you know, they wrestled at Penn State with Jerry Sandusky and this and that. These guys who competed in BJJ, they aren't shit. They'll never be shit. In the shitty heavyweight division, he had a close fight with Budai. Even though I thought he won, he still looked absolutely atrocious, and he loses. Okay. Borderline robbery, but he lost nonetheless. Anyway, next fight.